Good evening and welcome to BNC Brothers in Christ. I'm James Cowan coming to you live from Studio 7 in Hotlanta, Georgia. And with me, as always, my brother in the flesh and brother in Christ, not in Morocco, Indiana, but right here in Studio 7 as well, Joshua, a.k.a. the Gravy Slayer Cowan. Josh, what is going on, buddy?
Charles. Nothing much, James. Just down here in the dirty South with you, my brother.
And I'm representing, if for those of you that are watching, I got the Bish's hat on right now. I got to represent him since he didn't want to drive down to see Josh. I thought I'd throw his hat on, Charles Walters Ministry as well. But we do have Josh in the house tonight. If you hear any wailing or screaming, that's not Josh manifesting. That's the kids playing in the basement or another room in the house. Josh, do your deal.
My God, Cowan, you always got to pull that hat out and make some big deal out of nothing.
Come on now.
Dag nabbit. Calling Josh the Gravy Slayer like that. Dag nabbit. We want to welcome everyone joining us. It is time for the Thanksgiving edition. We want to welcome everyone to it. We ask that you please like, share the video. Also, don't forget to comment so that we can see any questions or comments you have. We can see already people are commenting. Charles with Gravy Slayer Josh. Chandler with the Dirty D, Douglasville, come on. As always, Charles Walters asking where he's at. The man's getting so old, he's almost like Joe Biden. Doesn't know where he's at. Doesn't know if he's coming or going.
My God, Josh.
My
you
God.
went there. My Lord.
That being said, we want to remind everyone, if you'd like to get your Brothers in Christ merchandise, mugs or or T-shirts, right there. Let us know in the comment or email us or whatever. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do too much all at once here.
I'll tell you what, Josh cannot think and chew gum at the same time. Our sponsors, Portside Coffee, Blue Spruce Soaps, Night Owl Promotions, and I've been told to say Bombshell Beauty. And is there anything else we need to throw in there? Charles Walters Ministry. You need a hat like this, man. Charles Walters Ministry, since Josh and I don't have any. And I'm sorry we don't have our BNC mugs tonight, but I do have my Thanksgiving turkey mug right there. Check that thing out, man. I got my Thanksgiving turkey mug going on.
Which leads into there's no place like home for the holidays.
That's it, man. Josh has got his gnome mug right there. But, man, we are excited to be here with you tonight. Did we have a show last Monday night?
We did. We have Big Mike on with us.
That's right. Big Mike. Magic Mike was on with us last week talking about everything that took place over in Uganda. And myself and Charles Walters, actually, we'd leave and go to Uganda again, literally in like 10 days, I think it is we leave or something like that. And so I know we're going to be having a great time over there. But, Josh, you made the trip down. You left yesterday afternoon. I think you actually had Big Mike in your church yesterday preaching, didn't you?
We did. It was the Thanksgiving edition of church for the River Church Morocco yesterday. And last year, the turkey was a little dry last year, I got to admit, dude. I was very upset with myself. The turkey was a little dry. So Jane said, get someone to preach this year so the turkey's not dry. So that's what we did. We brought in.
I think you got that backwards. I think the message was dry and the turkey was juicy. But, of course, everything's going to be dry with Josh because he's the Gravy Slayer.
Whatever.
You know, I had this shirt. I'm telling you, folks, I almost got this shirt. I thought, man, I'm not buying a $15 shirt to wear one time. But it said, nobody puts gravy in the corner. And I thought, man, that is a perfect shirt for Josh. Nobody puts gravy in the corner, man. What are your thoughts on that, Josh?
Look, I don't eat gravy. I'll eat like biscuits and gravy on occasion, but I don't eat gravy. And my arteries appreciate it. That's all I'm saying.
You know, the reality is this. It would not be Thanksgiving if it wasn't brought up the year that Josh ruined Thanksgiving. And, you know, all those people are out there saying it's not about the meal. It's about being together with family. No, that's trash, man. I don't care what you say. The family usually ends up in an argument or someone like Chandra. My sister Chandra, she's always the first one to leave because she doesn't like to help clean up. Or Marcy.
And the arguments that happen after the fact. Well, why doesn't anyone tell Chandra. She thinks she's better than the rest of the family.
I'm telling you. And then Marcy always has to come in, and it's like, well, let's try this recipe because this is what VA likes. I'm like, sit down and shut up, man. We're gonna fix it the way Mom always fixed it, and don't sit there coming in telling me not to bust on your kids either, man.
Right?
Because that's what we do.
That's what we
do. We just have fun at Thanksgiving time, but it wouldn't be Thanksgiving without the year that Josh ruined it because he threw all the drippings away because he doesn't like gravy, and so we didn't have any gravy. And everybody knows you can't go buy anything on Thanksgiving Day.
I was not supposed to make gravy that year. It was Netta, not me, and I stand by my decision.
Look, man, Josh ain't never going to own up to this one, man, but everybody knows it. Matter of fact, Chandra was so mad she left to leave a little earlier this time. I mean, she's like, you know what, I'm not helping clean up. We're like, well, why should this year be any different than any other year?
I agree.
I mean, let's go.
It went from, I've got little babies, I got to take them home, to I've got young kids, I got to take them home, to I've got teenagers, I got to take them home, to
That's it, man.
There's nobody at home, I just don't like you people. Chandra's always got an excuse.
I know. And Roger's like, come on, honey, let's stay here. Let's help out. We need to do our part. She's like, no. They always told me I was adopted anyway when I was growing up, so I'm out of here.
Just because we found her in a dumpster holding a ketchup bottle.
That was the story around Chandra. And we're talking about Chandra because this is what month?
Oh, it's adoption and orphans and foster child care month.
Absolutely. So that's why we're talking about Chandra. And I think maybe she always bailed on that, a little early too, because she didn't feel like she was part of the family. But since then, we have welcomed her in.
Absolutely. We've absolutely welcomed her. Chandra's going a little nuts in the comments right now. So's the Bish. By the way, Bishop Charles Walter said if you want any of his merchandise to contact him and he will get it to you.
Is that how he said it?
Let's see. How did he say it?
In that voice?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me say it right. The Bish said, if you would like Walter's Ministries merch, it's better than them Cowan's, dagnabbit, let me know.
And that's probably exactly how he said it. But anyway, man, I'll tell you what, in the comments section, we'd like to know tonight, some of the odd dishes that your family may have as a tradition at Thanksgiving, because, our family was pretty straight about it. Growing up, we knew what to expect. We had a mother that went over the top. But then Josh married Jane, and Jane pulled some weird dish into the Thanksgiving dinner. And I don't even have to tell you what it is, do you? You know what it is, don't you?
Go ahead, Jim.
What do they call a scalloped corn?
Yeah.
Has anybody ever heard of scalloped corn?
I don't know, it's some Michigan thing, dude. I had to put the lockdown on that. No more, Jane. No more scalloped corn. We're not some weird Youper Michigander. We are normal Midwesterners.
I'm telling you what, because we got together and Jane came and she goes, I brought this family dish of mine. Well, guess what was a full dish when she left that day? And she was like, well, nobody even tried it. No, we didn't try it. Look at it. Looks like somebody threw up in a bowl.
Looks like they threw up a whole bunch of creamed corn in the bowl and threw some cornbread on top.
I mean, has anybody here heard of scalloped corn? If you have, you know what? I bet you Bethany has heard of scalloped corn. Bethany would be somebody like, Joe likes it, and they like it at the orphanage in Kenya as well, James.
Not to mention, I think it's gluten-free.
Actually, how would Bethany say it?
James. Why are you picking on Jane and myself?
Ooh, we're going to be in trouble after tonight, but that's okay. Did anybody...
What do you mean after that, dude? Comments are blowing up, man.
My God. I haven't... Charles, purple whole peas, man. I'm telling you right now, Charles, I don't mind purple whole peas for the longest time. I'm like, man, anything with purple in it, I ain't eating.
Come on.
Until I went to Uganda and ate some of that purple G-nut sauce. So then I tried purple whole peas, and those actually weren't bad. But Jake says that's glorified creamed corn, man. He's 100% correct on that. But I do wonder, maybe Bethany can answer this question in the comments section. What does Thanksgiving look like gluten-free?
Ooh.
Gluten-free and I think dairy-free. What does that look like? Is it difficult to prepare? I'm just curious. I'm not
answering that, James.
Yeah. I'm not doing that as a joke. I'm asking legitimately.
I'm not justifying that with an answer, James.
Look, I can tell when Satan's attacking, and right now he's attacking you guys because you're attacking me, and I'm gonna call Charles and Kira and get something cast out of you. Man, there ain't nothing to be cast out of us. We're just here having a good time. This is like our seventh cup of coffee, and so I can say that. But yeah, so what else we got on
She
this?
responded, we call it corn casserole, and it's a Midwestern and everywhere thing.
It's not an everywhere thing. I was raised in the Midwest. I asked somebody, have you heard of corn casserole? And they're like, yeah, in the toilet after I'm done eating corn. That's what they say. Come on.
Little Jimmer left some on the side of the road to go into a Cubs game one time.
You know what, Charles? I agree. I do believe that, what was it, a year and a half ago?
It's been a minute, yeah.
It was like a year and a half ago. We had Buck on here, and he has continuously, when Monday night comes, he asks all the time, "Hey, who you having on tonight?" And I think he's saying that because he wants to come back on the program, and so I think we may bring him back on the program, and just to see how that episode goes.
Chandra says she's going to drive over here to set the record. Hey, Chandra, sit in the parking lot and wait for Roger.
Look, Chandra messaged me for the show. She goes, I'm sitting in the parking lot waiting on my husband. He's in getting some stuff out of the store. I'll be back and I'll be on. Yeah, bad mistake, man, because get his game on. See, the reality is this. When we were growing up, Chandra was the instigator of the family. That's all there is to it.
And Jim was the troublemaker.
But I was only the troublemaker because I was taking the fall for Chandra because she was always bailing out when the heat came down, just like she does when it comes to cleaning.
Bethany tried to do Charles. You Cohens are missing out.
And so,
wait. Bethany being Charles. You Cohens are missing out.
Remember when we were in Kenya and Bethany would go live with Joe, but she would always block Joe out of the picture?
The Bethany and No Joe show.
That's right. She was always like pushing Joe out. And then she's like, you guys, Joe really needs to get more involved. He wants to get more involved. I'm like, yeah, Bethany, get out of the way. Let him get on the camera.
I'm like, Bethany.
Yeah. Hey, all, how you doing? But no, seriously, what about pies? What about pie? The Thanksgiving pie.
Thanksgiving pie's got to be pumpkin. I can allow pecan. Mincemeat traditionally here in America. Jim, you always like cherry pie.
No, I gotta set the record straight on the cherry pie. I was probably like 8 or 9 years old, but this is way back in the day, like 10 years ago. I was like 8 or 9, and my mom made this cherry pie. And at this time, I was a little kid. I was just trying new foods, whatever really put in front of us. And there's this cherry pie that I tasted. I thought, man, this is a great cherry pie. I love this cherry pie. But it's not my favorite pie. However, every year, because I loved that cherry pie, my mom made me a cherry pie. And so no matter what kind of pie I wanted, because mom would literally, when you got 10 kids, mom would literally have 20 pies she'd make. And
there'd be like 9 pumpkin pies because amazing pumpkin pie recipe.
And so, but I had to eat a piece of cherry pie first. Every year, a piece of cherry pie. And they would always say, Jim's favorite pie is cherry. And deep down inside, I'm like saying, no, it's not. But I ate that piece of cherry pie first every single year because my mother made it for me.
Well, then our sister Wendy, for whatever reason, loved mincemeat pie.
Well, Wendy and Dad, and I think Chandra. Let me ask you this. If you're watching right now, have you ever heard of mincemeat pie? Now, when we were in Scotland, the number one pie in Scotland is mincemeat. Everywhere you go, they had mincemeat pie. But my sister Wendy and Dad, and I think Chandra may have liked mincemeat pie. Josh didn't like it because he thought they put gravy on it, but it's not an actual meat pie like that. It's actually got like raisins and stuff in it. But I'm just going to tell you right now, it's disgusting. It's got to be like a Michigan thing here in the States or something along with the scalloped corn. Can you imagine having Thanksgiving dinner with scalloped corn and mincemeat pie, deviled eggs, and purple whole peas on your plate?
My God.
It'd be like, my Lord. It's like Charlie Brown Christmas got one over on them with popcorn and toast.
Right?
I mean,
Charles mentioned, I think, his favorite pie. I like that Coco Loco, dag nabbit.
Now, that Coco Loco, seriously, that's good stuff right there. But that's not a pie. That's a cake. We're not talking about cake. We're talking about pie.
I can't do mincemeat. I know back in the day, mincemeat had rum in it. That's why everyone liked it. All the alkies.
Oh, see, I didn't know
Get yourself all liquored up. I'm eating pie. Pastor.
Now, see, I didn't realize that there was alcohol in that thing. If I would have known that back in the day, I would have been tearing up, but not now.
No, like back in the day,
Right.
not modern.
Right, absolutely. You know, funny story here. My dad was talking to me. This was a couple of years ago, and it was at Christmas time. And he'd walking through the mall, and a lady offered him a piece of rum cake. And he takes the piece of cake and puts it in his mouth and then spits it out. He goes, he comes home. He goes, can you believe there was alcohol in that cake? I said, well, what kind of cake was it? He said it was a rum cake. I said, well, what'd you think was going to be in it if it's called a rum cake? So I don't know. So now
we got to unplug and plug over here. It's not plugged in. That light just ain't working. Flip on the.
What's wrong?
That outlet's not working. Computer's losing battery.
Oh, well, I can plug it in over there, Josh. You're just going to have to talk a little bit while I do it.
Hi. It's not too often I get to talk and not be Charles. So this is a little weird for me. I don't know how to handle this, dude. Hi, I'm not Charles Walters this time. What do I do with my hands? No.
Is that better? Is that working now?
Yep.
All right. Well, we got Josh's thing figured out. I'm going to take this hat off now, man, because it's getting a little hot in here. But let me ask you this question then. Pumpkin pie, everybody knows it's incredible.
Yes.
With or without Cool Whip? With
yes.
or without Cool Whip?
Well, you got several. You can eat pumpkin pie just by the beauty of pumpkin pie is this. Once you refrigerate it a little bit and have it cold, because yes, I eat cold pumpkin pie. You can pull that bad boy out and eat it like a slice of pizza. You don't have to worry about stuff running everywhere. It's bam, it's right there in your hand. But on top of that, then you have what you call normal whipped cream. Then you have what you call abnormal whipped cream, and then you have the entire container of whipped cream.
Which I call that Marcy whipped cream.
That would be Marcy whipped cream, yes.
That would be Marcy whipped cream.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that.
So, something that I couldn't ever really tell the difference on, and maybe those of you, I don't know who all bakes that is watching. I know Kira bakes, and I'm supposed to be getting a package on the 28th from Kira, matter of fact, with some stuff in it. And I'm
somebody posted on there, bury the pumpkin pie in Cool Whip. Then it's done right.
There you go. I know Marcy, if she's watching, I know she bakes. I don't know if Bethany bakes or not because everything's got to be gluten-free. And if you're not actually using flour to bake with, I don't know if that's considered baking.
I think that's just cooking when you're not actually baking.
But can you guys, those that are watching, can you tell a difference between a pumpkin pie and a sweet potato pie? I think that's a good question.
Well, let me say this. I'm going to say that the average person is very difficult. In our family, it's not.
No, because we just have that palate. We can taste.
Well,
that
not only that, but Carol Cowan had her recipe that just puts all the others to shame. All I'm going to say is this: Jane married into our family. She entered a pie baking contest at the church here in Lithia. She used our family's pumpkin pie recipe and won first place. Just going to put it out there like that.
That's all there is to it.
And that was without anyone knowing it was her pie.
And I don't know if they sell gluten-free pie crust or not. Or do you know if they do?
That's not funny, James.
I don't know why that cracks me up so much, man, when you do that. But that's funny. But sweet potato pie, pumpkin pie, it doesn't matter to me because it's pie. And speaking of pies, here's another great family story of ours. You know where I'm going?
I do. Tell it. It's amazing.
You know what? It's your story. Why don't you tell the story?
I'm wanting to say my 16th birthday? Or 17th?
16th or 17th.
16th or 17th birthday. Now, the town we lived in, every morning they would announce birthdays. If you went and registered your name with them, they'd pull a name out and you get a free cake from town. And we won it all the time, quite often.
Yeah, when you put everybody's name in there, man, you're stacking the ballot, man. It's like
happy birthday to Josh from Jane.
Look, it's like
happy birthday to Josh from Sean. Happy birthday.
We were stacking the ballot box, man. It's like the Democrats learned from us.
My God. Cowan, I can't believe you guys did that.
So go ahead and finish your story.
That being said, I didn't win the cake for my birthday. It was like 16th and 17th birthday. And so at the time, we did not have a lot. Dad was traveling. And Mom goes, we can't afford a cake right now. We don't have one. But someone gave us this pie. So for my birthday, I had an apple pie, a lattice top apple pie. And she stuck a little candle in it. And now and forever, that's known as the birthday pie.
The birthday pie. And I'm telling you, man, I don't know why, like my brother John and I, we just think that's the funniest story to the point.
It's hilarious.
One time we were working for a company. This was probably 21 years ago, something like that. We were working
21 years ago.
Well, it was because it was back in Clean Air days. That would have been like 2001.
You're right.
2002. Dude, it's been that long. And so it was like 21 years ago. And we're driving. The whole story, we were driving to Nashville to do this job for this company we worked for, and we were just cutting up and rolling down the road. We ended up running out of gas on the side of the interstate going to Nashville, and so we had to pull over. We literally had to walk like 2 miles to get gas, and we're walking, and all of a sudden we hear something running through the woods next to us, and the two of us are literally running like idiots down the side of the interstate screaming. Finally, somebody pulls over and picks us up, takes us into town, brings us back. We get gas, and we drive into Nashville. And we just pull into this parking lot, and we're looking for a hotel to stay at that night. And we're sitting there, and all of a sudden we start talking about Josh and his birthday pie. And we can't stop laughing. We're laughing so hard, man. We literally get out of this truck, and we're laying on the pavement of this parking lot. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and we're just laughing up a storm, just laying there laughing on the ground. And we get up because nobody's out at 2 o'clock in the morning. No. And we're laughing over Josh's birthday pie. And we finally get done laughing after like 10 minutes, and we stand up and look, and there's this whole busload of people, man, probably 100 feet from us, and they're just staring at us like they think we're a couple of drunks laying on the road, man. I'm telling you right now, man, but Josh's birthday pie to this day, man, is such a great story. And I'm telling you right now, I love pie. I like pie better than cake, but there's no way in the world I would ever have pie on my birthday because of that story.
Real quick, to clear something up with Bethany, I do know. There's rice flour, there's tapioca flour, there's almond flour. There's 3 right off the top of my head without Googling. So
she said Bo don't know.
So put that in your pipe and smoke it, Bethany.
Look, she done got under Josh's skin by saying Bo don't know.
Bethany, you need to let Joe do the comments, Bethany.
Look, you know that boy the fool.
That's right, I am.
Oh God, this is great, man.
You're gonna tell me I don't know.
Oh man, this is great. Look, we got Jake chiming in. Jake, this is a Christian program. What are you?
My God,
that's like the time Marcy said, "I want to come on the program." I said, "No, you can't. You got to be saved to be on this show."
Oh no, he didn't.
Oh man, that is so funny, man.
Although there are sometimes Jim has to get forgiveness after the show.
I do. And I go and I apologize to Peg, and she forgives me, and so it's good. But now I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag right now. Charles was talking about that Coco Loco cake, and I'm telling you right now, I don't think that's actually the name of it. That's like Charles's.
Cowan, I told you it's Coco Loco. That's what it's called, dagnabbit.
No, I'm gonna tell you right now. Regina makes this other dish, dude, and it's called Lemon Lush. Now, I got to say, I've only gotten the bootleg version of Lemon Lush. I haven't gotten the real deal yet. Charles won't let me get near it. Matter of fact, he calls me. He's like, yeah. He says, I'll have to say it, then you'll have to do the voice. He's like, yeah, I'm eating that Lemon Lush right now.
Yeah, Cohen, I'm eating that Lemon Lush right now. My God.
And I'm like, what about your Optavia?
Opta what? Octavian what? You talking about ancient Rome?
Absolutely, man. That's usually how it goes down, man. That's usually how it goes down. But, when we were growing up as kids, Josh, Mom and Dad...
I'm Charles Walters. I'm Lushalicious.
When we were kids at Thanksgiving time...
It doesn't say Lush. It says Lushalicious.
There you go. When we were kids... we would always sit around the table and eat. And you got to understand, there was 10 kids in our family. So every Thanksgiving, it looked like the Last Supper. Actually, every night when we ate, it looked like the Last Supper. And so Dad and Mom would always want to go around the table, and all of us kids say everything we were thankful for. And naturally, we'd always all say the same thing. We're thankful for God for saving us. We're thankful for our mom and dad. And finally, Dad got tired of that. And so Dad's sitting down there that one year, and he goes, All right, we're going to go around the tables. You're going to say what you're thankful for. And I don't want none of that. I'm saved. I thank God and my family crap. I want to know something you're really thankful for. Mom got all mad. She goes, that's not crap, Jim. You remember that?
Yeah. He was like, yeah, okay, fine, Carol. We all know you're thankful for your salvation and your family. Now tell me something you're thankful for.
And that would usually be followed up after he said that with Mom firing a dinner roll at him down the table. And I mean, Lambert's, man, they didn't get the idea. That idea came from our house growing up.
Yes. Dinner roll, Brussels sprouts, anything that'll fly.
Whatever it was, man, it was flying through the air, man. It was Food Fight City. When you got 10 kids, just serving 10 kids was Food Fight City.
Dad would have all of us hold hands while he said a blessing, except for him. He wouldn't. He'd be like filling his plate. Dear Lord, bless you for this food. Father God, bless Father God for this, Father God.
Sandra Isaac says corn flour, Josh. Well, Josh knows all about cornstarch, but that ain't for making gravy.
That ain't flour, that's starch.
But Josh is like, cornstarch is for more than just making gravy, Jim. I said, no, you're making some gravy, buddy. What are you talking about?
You're an idiot.
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. You notice Peg and Jane they're not in here tonight. We tried to get them to come in, but they wouldn't have nothing to do with it. They're like, nah, we're out. You guys go make idiots of yourself on your own.
Time out. I'm sorry. I can't let that go, Jim. I asked Jim, you want to have the wives on tonight for the Thanksgiving special? He goes, I ain't ready for that, man. No, I cannot do that. I am not ready to be on there with Peg and Jane. It ain't happening. I don't care what they say.
That's right. You know why? Because you'd have people out there like Bethany that because Jane and Peg are on there to think they can say whatever they want in the comment section.
Peg, get James, Peg. Joe, get Bethany.
Yeah, where is Joe? Joe, you should have done.
It's the Bethany and No Joe show.
Well, yeah, with Bethany, she's just jealous because of Ella, but that's all right.
I know.
That's all right. She'll move on past it.
Maybe.
But seriously though, all kidding aside, man, it is a great time to come together with family. So the next question we had for you, just throw.
I know where Joe is.
Where?
It didn't work. It ain't working.
What are you trying to do? Oh, Josh trying to throw his phone across the room. He's
Hang on a minute.
Go over.
That's where Joe's at.
There you go. Come on, man. It never worked that time. But throw your answers in the comment section. Are you staying home for Thanksgiving, or are you going somewhere? And if you are staying home, are you having house guests come to stay with you? What do you got going on? Just throw it up there in the comments section. And so Joe is right here. So is Ella. Well, Joe, if you're right there, man, why are you letting this stuff go down, man? Come on.
I know why.
That's right. I hope they can hear that pretty well on there. So Bonnie says she's going to her son's. Marcy, home cooking for 22. That's just because you have a big appetite, Marcy. It's not really 22.
It would be 15 for anyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Marcy thinks because it's 2 hands, it's 22. It's actually 11 people, 22 hands. Well, the reality is this. Marcy could have 5 people there and she'd be cooking for 22 because that's how Marcy cooks. Now, let me say this. If Marcy's cooking chicken and noodles, or if she's cooking, what was that stuff, that dessert she made?
Oh, dude, what was that?
That bread pudding.
Oh, my God.
Now, Marcy made some bread pudding. I'll tell you right now, you can hang your head on. Bethany, you'll never be able to try it because it's not gluten-free.
No.
But I'm going to say right now, man, Joe, if we can get you some of that, and I know Charles, if he's still on here, he could sit here and tell you the truth, man. That bread pudding that Marcy made, man, that was some serious business, Josh.
That wasn't nothing to shake a stick at.
But,
well, hold on. First, you had the noodles with the mashed potatoes, and the chicken and noodles with mashed potatoes, and then that bread pudding. My God!
I'm telling you what, man. You thought you were sitting in the deep South eating that dinner. But so if you're staying home and you have family coming in, that's always good, man, because you ain't got, Chandra. I don't think Chandra's ever hosted Thanksgiving dinner because she can't leave early. If she hosts it. So
she did one year. She goes, okay, everybody, I gotta go home. I got the kids. And we're like, Chandra, we're at your house. Bye.
Yeah, Shauna's like, I'm gonna leave so y'all can leave. I'm like, where's she going? But
Charles just commented, Marcy's chicken and noodles with the bread pudding was the bomb.
It was, man. I'm telling you, that bread pudding was something you could write home about right there. And here's the crazy thing: Marcy's what, 50 years old, 51 years old. That's the first time I've ever tasted her she's made that. Where's that been for the last 51 years, Marcy?
Yeah, Mars.
Well, Marcy, you turned 51 on December 22nd. It's always terrible for Marcy. I kind of felt bad for her, but then I didn't because it was Marcy. But her birthday was always 3 days before Christmas. You know, anybody got a birthday 3 days before Christmas, you get robbed, man. That's all.
Go get a present out from under the tree.
Yeah. They're like, Marcy, do you want a cake for your birthday or you just want some Christmas cookies?
Hey, we got a neat idea for your birthday cake. We're going to put peppermint sticks on it this year. That's what you did last year. No, we didn't. We put peppermint crystals because we crunched it up.
And then Marcy and Chandra are always going to sit there and argue who had it the worst.
Oh, Chandra.
I don't know. Marcy had it pretty bad.
No, Chandra will tell you she had it the worst.
You got that right, man. So in reality, Marcy, you only cooking for 11 people. You just don't know how to cook in small portions. So, but if you are having house guests come to your house,
in her defense, with the size of our family, and then working in restaurants, it's easy.
Well, the reality was this: when we were all growing up, Marcy was the only one that didn't work in the house anyway. So I mean, that's just the way it was. But Marcy's probably like, can we start picking on Chandra again? But if you do have people coming to your house, how many people do you got coming? Do you got a large group coming to your house? You got a small group? I don't think I've ever had Thanksgiving where I haven't had somebody at the house or been with a group of people. It's never just been me, Peg, and the kids. So there's always been somebody.
The smallest Thanksgiving for me, actually, one of the smallest was up in Carthage, was just us and your daughters.
Mm-hmm.
The smallest Thanksgiving I ever been to was with the first Thanksgiving with Jane's family. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6, 7 people in there counting the 2 kids.
Man,
I'm sorry, 9 people counting the 4 kids.
I got you. Oh, look, Wendy just hopped on. Wendy, you've been missing all the action, man. We haven't thrown you under the bus yet, so it's nice for you to hop on there. But Wendy, maybe you can answer this question. You haven't seen any of this episode. Just type your response in. The year we had no gravy, who forgot to make the gravy? Don't say anything, anybody. If you're watching, don't comment. Wendy, you just type in the comment section, whose fault was it that there was no gravy that year? And so if you're having a bunch of people, I'm trying to find out who's having the most people at their house for Thanksgiving.
Bruce Mason, 15 3/4. I don't know how you got 3/4 of a person, but it has to hurt. Someone says 8 to 10. Chandra says, run, Wendy.
Now, let me ask you this something, Bruce. Bruce is an incredible guy, man. I'm being honest with you, man. I met Bruce. He went to Uganda with us, and he looked, like a nice middle-aged man until he shaved. And then all of a sudden, he looked like somebody in the youth group. But Bruce, I got to ask you this question. For those of you that don't know, Bruce has a chicken farm where he literally has 300,000 chickens that he raises, and then they get sold off to like Chick-fil-A and Chipotle and Chipotle, or however you say it, and a couple other restaurants. But so Bruce, I got to ask you this question: do you have chicken or do you have turkey on Thanksgiving? That would probably be kind of bad if you had chicken. But I'm just curious: do you have chicken or do you have turkey? Look, Wendy refuses to answer the question. I don't even see her respond. Oh no, Wendy put it. Josh did. Right there, see? Joshua Cowan. So, see, Wendy hasn't seen the whole episode, and she knows who ruined the gravy that year. You know how I knew Wendy was going to respond to that? Because I've already had a phone. Every year, Wendy calls me like a week before Thanksgiving. She's like, look, I know it's Thanksgiving. You know what you got to do. And I know, you're right, Wendy. And so what I do is I cook a turkey a couple weeks ahead of time. I save all the juice. I freeze it in case Josh accidentally dumps out the drippings, so we got a backup. It's a backup plan. Anybody that's hosting Josh for Thanksgiving now knows you got to have a backup plan.
Whatever.
That's all there is to it. We got that backup plan. We're good to go. Let's see. Bruce says turkey this year deep fried.
Just deep fried one Sunday.
That's terrible. That's terrible. Look at that, man. Our little brother John is on here tonight. John is about to become a dad for the first time. He's what's John, 40?
He will be 40. I don't think he's 40 yet.
Yeah, John's getting ready to turn 40 years old. John will flat out tell you, I'm like, John, why didn't you have any kids before now? And he'll flat out tell you, because I'm having too much fun living life. Y'all suckers had kids too soon. That's what he said. But that's beside the point. But John, John, I don't think John was there the year you ruined Thanksgiving with the no gravy. But John, you totally missed it, buddy. I told the story a little bit ago. You and I in the parking lot in Nashville laughing about Josh's birthday pie. I'm telling you right now, dude, and me and you running down the side of the interstate. You remember we ran down the side of the interstate because we thought there was an animal coming through the woods to get us. But Bruce, all right, now you deep fry the turkey. Do you inject it with the spices first? And I see a great conversation taking place here. And now this here, I know I've been asking questions. You guys have been giving us your answers, which is great. This is how we learn about you. You guys are always hearing about us, but we get to hear about you. Do you call it stuffing or dressing? Which one do you call it? And don't be getting scientific on us, Bo.
Well, it's not scientific. Stuffing says it all. You're stuffing something with it. Stuffing goes in the bird. Dressing is outside in a pan.
I'm telling you right now. Okay, besides the actual nuts and bolts of it, what do you normally call it when you sit down? If you don't know where it came out of, what do you call it? Dressing or do you call it stuffing? Which one do you call it? Put your comments in there. Dressing. Naturally, Marcy says stuffing. Bruce uses Cajun spices. That's interesting, Bruce. I'm serious, man. I'm going to have to hook up with Bruce on this here thing.
Interesting comment from John. He's not going to be home for Thanksgiving. He's going to be camping out, waiting in lines for Black Friday, leaving his pregnant wife home alone with no Thanksgiving.
No, I got a feeling if I know Sarah, John says, I learned at an early age to avoid Josh's foods across the board. My God.
Jim.
Wendy says, Josh, Josh should read all the comments except the ones about him.
No, right here, John. Josh out here sounding like a flat earther. All his tales are wrong.
Look, Wendy put, Josh made the dry dressing and ruined Thanksgiving. Once again, verification on the Thanksgiving grades. He tries to blame it on Netta, but that would require somebody to know Netta's whereabouts.
Okay, real quick, let me put this out there. If you know someone doesn't like gravy, doesn't eat gravy, doesn't make gravy, would you put that person in charge of gravy or someone who does? So, even though it was not my responsibility, it was Netta's, who's the idiot for trying to get a non-gravy eater to make gravy?
Well, first of all, we cannot go to Netta and ask her because trying to get Netta on the phone or anything else is next to impossible. So
the other day, my kids, who's Aunt Netta?
I'm telling you right now, she's like, she done ghosted the whole family. She's like, yeah, y'all are nuts. I don't want nothing to do with you. I'm like, whatever, sinner. No, I'm just kidding. Netta's saved. I'm just playing around.
To be fair, I will say this. Last few days, we just got a cat. And I've been texting Netta, and she's been responding because I'm talking about cats.
You got a cat?
Yeah.
Now, is that the first one you've had since the demonic cat?
Yeah.
When Josh first got married to Jane, they had a demonic cat.
This dude was locked in the bathroom, couldn't come out because the cat was out in front of it hissing at him.
I'm telling you right now, man, that cat was demonic. It never did it to Josh because it didn't recognize any anointing there. But someone with a little bit of anointing walk in and that cat would rear up and hiss at it. Josh is like, oh, Fluffykins, wasn't that what you called it, Fluffykins?
That's what Jane called it.
He's like, oh, Fluffykins loves me. I'm like, yeah, because it don't see you as a threat.
All right, Bruce Mason, Tony Chachere, that's great seasoning. You're right, Tony. Hang on a minute. Butter and jalapeno. Ooh,
see, okay. Wendy said, Mom had Josh make the dressing, which was dry. And Josh just said, what idiot would ask me to do it? Real cool,
I
Josh.
said gravy, not dressing.
Real cool, Josh. Man, I can't believe you said that about Mom.
Whatever.
She ain't even here to defend herself.
You can't even keep a straight face, man. Jason, remember the year our sisters ate the pan of dressing before it was cooked? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
It was this house.
That was like right Marcy and Sean there. They're like,
and Natalie and Netta.
They're like, you ain't got to heat this stuff up. It ain't got to be cooked, Cowan. Just eat it. How do you say it?
Cowan, this dressing tastes good as it is. Why cook it and ruin it?
That's right, man. Oh man, I'm going to tell you right now, man. We have fun in this house. If you ever get invited to a holiday here, man, you're going to have a blast. Bonnie, no, don't even start trying to needle your way in
Nope.
right now. It ain't happening
Nada.
because we don't allow purple hair at our Thanksgiving dinner. That's all there is
I
to
don't
it.
allow church members at my brother's house for Thanksgiving dinner.
I could see PC coming down for a meal. PC's pretty straight. He's going to have to work once he gets here.
I might let Paul, but not Bonnie. Definitely not Bonnie. Paul Kraft, I'd probably let, but definitely not Bonnie.
Well, Paul's so much more spiritual.
He is. He is.
But now you know what?
Oh, look, there's Bonnie on there lying. Peg invited me.
Look, now I do want to say this, and I feel like I need to clarify this before I trash Bonnie some more. But Bonnie was actually fun having her in Uganda. I had a blast with her, everybody. So when I tease Bonnie on the program, because sometimes I'll get people to message me, you were too hard on Bonnie. You need to take it easy.
And these are people who don't know what Bonnie does.
I didn't say that, but they'd be like, you've been, Peg's been it too. Why don't you take it easy on Bonnie? Because you take it, you let your foot off the gas, man, you get taken advantage of.
Wendy, don't forget the mincemeat pie. Yeah, we already went down that road.
We went down that path, Wendy, but you missed that portion of the program. You know why? Because you were making backup gravy in case Josh stopped by. I understand. You got a good excuse. But anyway, Bonnie's
Gravy
not bad.
reserves.
I had a nice talk with Bonnie when she was in Uganda. I'm like, look, if I ever stop making fun of you, it means I quit liking you. That's all there is to it.
Cowan, I can't believe you said that to her, dagnabbit.
I'm telling you, man, that's what I said to her. Just like Bethany. We tease Bethany. Why do we tease Bethany? Because we like Bethany. You know why we like Bethany? Because she's easy to tease. She gives you too many openings to tease her. But, she sometimes gives it back. She tries.
Well, James, it's because you're not as cool as me.
She tries.
I married Joe.
I'm telling you. And that's the only thing that bailed her out in that case.
My God.
It's all Joe. I mean, Joe's pretty slick. Well, I'll tell you how cool Joe is. Joe's got a picture of himself on the side of a barber shop down there in Kenya.
In Nairobi, Kenya. We could take you to it. It's about a half a block from the church?
Yep, absolutely. About a half a block from the church.
So,
Marcy says, yeah, we still got green dish from the cranberries. You didn't get your hands on that.
oh, snap.
But I'll tell you what, though, on trying to dial this back a little bit and try to act a little normal, Marcy does fix a lot of food.
Yes.
One Thanksgiving, I would say probably one of Mom's last 3 or 4 Thanksgivings before she passed on. I went up to Olney, Illinois, and Marcy had rented this hall out to do Thanksgiving dinner in, and man, Marcy fixed enough food to feed the whole VFW, I think, that day. But what was funny was Mom was sitting next to this lady up there, and this lady, I don't even remember who the lady was, to be quite honest with you, but she kept reaching into her purse and had this flask, but kept sipping on this flask the whole time. And I'm telling you, man, about an hour and a half into Thanksgiving dinner, not that we ate for an hour and a half, but like all this time into Thanksgiving dinner, this lady's pretty tipsy at the end of the table, and Mom's just sitting down there laughing and rolling. And she called me down there. I said, what's going on, Mom? She's like, man, that lady over there, she goes, keep an eye on her, make sure she don't fall coming back. To this day, Marcy, you may know who it was, but
I think it's her mother-in-law.
So yeah, and was it really? Was it VA's mom? Is that what does it say?
Wendy said Mom told her she gets all the ceramics.
Marcy used to make. So anyway,
oh, it was Mana, like Donna, only with an M.
I see. Yeah, it was Mom's friend, Mana. But we're sitting there and we're cutting up tonight and we're having a fun time, busting on some of our siblings and stuff. I'd bust on Doris's cooking, but honestly, you and I had this conversation the other day, and this is the truth. I've never tasted anything Doris has ever cooked. I mean, as a kid, she never cooked anything. But have you ever ate anything Doris has ever cooked? Why are you laughing so hard?
We were talking about it. It cracks me up. Man, when she was married to Nelson, we stayed over there. Nelson cooked.
Yeah, Doris don't cook. But one time at Christmas, she brought, I want to say it was like a Reuben dip or something like that. It was like frozen. What would you do? Get this from Sam's Club or something off the Christmas discount? But we've never ate anything Doris cooked, so I don't know if Doris can cook. Wendy only cooks chicken. So
Now I will say this: ain't nobody got more recipes for chicken than Wendy.
yeah, oh yeah, Wendy could throw down some Yardbird with the best of them, but Wendy cooks chicken. I don't know what else she cooks, but chicken. Chandra fixes zippy chicken, but Chandra can do sugar cookies really good. Chandra can rock out some cookies real good. So Chandra can bake. Sorry, Bethany. She uses regular flour when she
It's
bakes.
got gluten. Sorry,
It's
Bethany.
got gluten in it. And so, and I say this all the time. Look, I'm going to stir the pot a little bit right now. I ain't got no problem. Look, I'm the one live. But the reality is this: outside of Marcy can cook. I'm gonna say right now, us four boys can cook as good, if not better, than the other five sisters. And we'll do a throwdown. I'm telling you right now, who can beat Bobby Flay right now, man? We'll do a
Come
throwdown.
on.
Us four boys can flat out cook, and the only reason we can cook is because our mom taught us.
Yep.
And she said, I don't want none of my boys to ever have to not be fed. And so she taught us to cook. And so
Oh, John, facts.
right there, man. Right there. And so Marcy's there, and Marcy can cook. She flat out can. She used to work at this restaurant in Olney, Illinois. It's called like Hovey's or something like that. And I used to go up there all the time just because Marcy was in there cooking, and she'd be slinging hash all over the place. But I always went up there when Marcy was working because I wouldn't have to pay for my meal. I would get it for free when Marcy was working. Matter of fact, there's always been a correlation between my sisters and me eating for free. Because like when they were in high school and they were dating, Dad was on the evangelistic field and Mom would leave a lot of times. This is a true story, and my sisters can chime in on this if they want to in the comment
Absolutely
section.
true.
And so, but the rule was, man, when Mom and Dad left to go out of town, it was over a weekend. Dad would always say this. He said, I don't care if the President of the United States knocks on that door. Do not open it for anybody. Matter of fact, one time he said, I don't care if Jesus himself knocks on that door. You do not open it. And so as soon as Dad leaves town, that door was open, and we were running, doing whatever we wanted to do.
Quite often, Flora, it was the bay window, remember? Because you were right there on the...
Oh, yeah.
And that way we didn't have to lie and say, no, Dad, nobody opened it.
You could literally step right on the front porch. It was like this deep. And so my sisters would always want to go out with their boyfriends. I'd be like, yeah, I don't care, but they've got to bring us a pizza.
Yes.
And so, man, we got so many pizzas. But I remember one time Marcy was dating this guy named Tim. And he comes bebopping up to the house, and he's got two big old pizzas. Because I told her, I said, tell that sucker I want two pizzas tonight. We're hungry. And so he comes bebopping up in that door with two pizzas.
Dude lived 27 miles away, 28 miles, something like that.
Oh, yeah. He lived in the next town over, and it was like raining out that night. I was like 16 or 17, something like that. I opened the door, take the two pizzas from this dude, said, now go home, and I shut the door. You remember that?
And dude left.
I'm telling you right now, man. I'm telling you. Oh, man, it was crazy. But I'm telling you, Josh, we must have got over 100 some pizzas, man, to that house. Those sisters, I'm telling you right now, man, Wendy and Chandra, man, they were running guys all over town, man, getting pizzas and stuff. Roger, he'd bring the pizza over. I didn't even have to call Roger. Roger'd be like, yeah, you want the usual? Sure thing. He's all right, I'll be there in 20. Bam, DiMaggio's pizza all day long, all day strong.
Come on, DiMaggio's Pizza or Pizza Pit. My God.
Yeah, now... But man, we did, man. But the girls were great with it, man. They were great. But because I'm going to tell you right now, in all fairness, there were many times my sisters covered for me. I didn't ever give them pizza or nothing like that. See, that's where they got wise. They started bartering with me. Oh yeah, you want to go do this? Fine. Well, he's not bringing a pizza this time. I'm like, all right. It was almost like a currency. Pizza became currency between us.
The river rat.
And so, what did John say? Remember the time Jim made a full English breakfast with extra potatoes and the power went out, and he ate it in front of us, so we all went hungry. Oh, yeah, man. I was like 16, 17.
Wait, look further up. He put on there, they call me Johnny Flay.
Let me tell you something else, man. One time, John was just a little guy. You got to understand, man, there was 10 of us. John was at the bottom of the rung. And so I'm going to say I was like 16 or 17 years old. And so I don't know how old John is. No, John's getting ready to turn 40, so I'm 12 years older than John. So if I was 16, John would have been like 3 or 4 years old. And me and my buddy, we're just sitting on the front porch. It's hot out. We just got done.
Tony Reed.
Me and Tony Reed, we just got done playing baseball and running. Actually, that was back when I was running those races, those distant, it was like 5, 6, 7 mile races. And we just got done running. It's hot. And I told little Johnny, I said, we called him little Johnny back then. And we go, hey, little Johnny, come here. He come running out there. He's always in his underwear, never had his pants on, always boys in his underwear, and that curly hair
holding
standing,
himself.
that curly hair on top of his head. And he come running out there, and I said, Johnny, will you go get me a real tall glass of ice water?
Chandra helped him.
Look, you know you're hitting it hard, man, when you start getting text messages from family on the phone, man, while you're talking. And so I said, Johnny, will you go get me a tall glass of ice water? And if you do, I think I said, I'll go to Dairy Queen and get you some ice cream. And so he runs in the house, and Chandra's in there, and she's like 18 or 19. I can't remember if she was married to Roger at this point or not yet. And she goes in there and she helps. She goes, I'll help you, little Johnny. Because back then, Chandra and John got along. They liked each other.
That was like the only time.
That was before, they started butting heads over stuff. But that's beside the point.
Before John learned how to talk.
Before John learned how to talk back. Yeah. And so she helps him get this real big glass of ice water and brings it out to me. I'm sitting on the porch. He hands it to me. I take a little drink out of it, and I sat there and I poured that glass of ice water all over John's head. Man, Chandra come flying out that door. Me and Tony Reed were moving out, man. We were flying off those stairs, and yes, I went and got John his Dairy Queen. But I don't even know what got me started on that story.
John talked about the breakfast you were 17.
Oh, yeah.
And you ate it in front of everybody.
Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, we could tell some stories on this program.
My
right
God.
Now. There was a time Mom and Dad went out of town, and it was in December. And you got to understand, too, right? We didn't have cable TV most of the time growing up.
Exactly.
When you got 10 kids, Dad's Evangelist, a free will love offering, yeah, you ain't watching no cable TV. So Mom and Dad go out of town to do this revival. All right. And they leave us there at the house. Well, this ice storm comes in.
Oh, the worst thing ever, dude.
Oh, and literally this tree branch falls off the back in the backyard. It literally rips the meter off the back of the house. And here it is, freezing cold outside. So we start farming kids out everywhere. And so we all leave. I bring all the kids back the next day. The guy from town comes and fixes it. We got our power back on in the house, and we got heat. And we're all celebrating. And those cans of popcorn that you get. Now, I don't know, my siblings are probably like, my God, I can't believe he's telling all these stories. Well, what do I care? I don't really care. Hey, this is brothers in Christ.
Come on.
We can say whatever we want, man. And so we take this thing of popcorn and we just start chucking it in the air, laughing, having a blast because the power's turned back on. We're all just a bunch of kids having fun, man. I mean, I think I was 16 or 17. I can't remember if I think Chandra was there, but she was just sitting over there. You guys are going to get in trouble. I'm not doing that because I don't want to get grounded from going out with Roger and all this stuff. Well, anyway, popcorn is everywhere. I'm like, all right, we all settled down. A whole can of it all over the living room floor. Somebody get the vacuum. We got to get this stuff cleaned up now. I'm telling you, no sooner than we say that, boom, another tree limb falls off the tree, rips that power thing right out of the back of the house, and Mom and Dad are going to be home in like 3 hours.
I'll never forget it because at one point we're all sitting around. It's cold. Jim goes, I know you're cold. Quit telling me you're cold. I know you're cold.
Yeah, man. It's like we're cold. I know. It's 62 degrees in the house. If it was a summertime, you'd be loving it because we didn't have air conditioning growing up. And it got hot in there.
Yeah, it did.
But I'm telling you, man, it was crazy. We were sitting there combing that floor, man. I'm telling you, every kid in that house was on our hands and knees in that living room for 3 hours, getting every drop of that popcorn off that floor. That's what it was like for us growing up in that house.
Chandra says she'd been married for 4 years and had just given birth to Amorettes.
Just giving birth? Chandra, you hadn't just given birth at that point. You were still instigating stuff.
Oh my God. Ooh.
But as you can tell, man, reality is this, and I know this, that every person out there listening tonight, man, has stories just like that with you and your family. That's what family's all about.
Yes.
When we take teams, and this ain't a Uganda story, but when we take teams into Uganda, there's a bonding that takes place. Yeah. Even when we go, all right, why can we tease Bethany the way we do? Because we went to Kenya on a team with Bethany and Joe and Kenna and Patty and the six of us. You bond when you're with people, when you're on these teams. And very few times is there somebody that has gone that we haven't bonded with. But you bond with people, and it's no different than being at home with your family, except you don't fight quite as much. And
Jim and Bonnie bonded. He calls her his sister. I don't. No, but he does.
No, I call her my grandma.
Oh my God.
But And that's what it's like for us when we go on these teams. And this ain't a pitch for Uganda. I'm just saying, people ask me, what's it like when you go? It's like being at your family's house, just hanging out, because every night, we come together and we debrief from the day. We talk about the funny stuff and the impactful stuff. And we all have impactful times. Last Thanksgiving, Josh, was the first Thanksgiving we had without Mom.
Yep. Yes, it was.
And so we decided to do something last Thanksgiving to kind of remember Mom, with it being the first one without her being there. And everybody brought an item that reminded them of Mom. And we were, kind of just told a short little brief story, except Wendy, I think she had like 4 pages to read or something like that with her item. And it was supposed, and what was crazy is it was supposed to be like this happy time, talking about Mom, sharing memories and stuff like that. But man, it turned into such a emotional thing. I mean, I hadn't seen you cry in a long time, and you were sobbing, and Jane had to come over.
You should come up and see me every day, as I'm a pastor.
No, that's in your office after.
It still happens.
But that's what the holidays are about. And that's the way it always was for us. I will say this, we've told some wild stories. We've had some crazy, rough times that made us who we are today. But we also had parents that we didn't have a lot of money at all growing up. And I'm telling you right now, well, I should say this. Dad and Mom had a lot of money until he surrendered to preach.
Yes.
I know that sounds bad if you've been called, but that's just how it was. Dad gave up a great job to go full-time in the ministry. But I'm telling you right now, man, no matter how rough things were, no matter how bad they were, Mom and Dad always found a way to make the holidays incredible for us kids. Made it memorable for us. And we had some wild Thanksgivings, and I know, we're telling stories here tonight, and if Chandra was actually here, Patty Whitehead, no, we do not. That is not something that the two of us are dealing with. That is something that Charles and Kira deal with. You'll have to get with them on that. But I know Chandra was here. She tried to correct us on all the stories we've told. But I do remember one Thanksgiving where literally the day before Thanksgiving, our oven broke.
Yes.
And Dad was on a revival, and he gets home, and if I remember right, we lived in a small town in southern Illinois. There was only one appliance store in all town, and it was closed when Dad got home.
It was.
And Dad goes and ends up to the house, I believe it was, of the guy who owned the appliance store. And Mom thought we weren't going to have Thanksgiving dinner because we didn't have an oven. And Dad ends up talking this guy into giving him an oven out of this shop without paying a dime down for it.
Yep.
And literally comes walking into the house, having this thing wheeled into the house at like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, literally the night before Thanksgiving. And then I remember another Thanksgiving, and if I'm wrong on this story, Chandra, one of these times we're going to have to bring Chandra on here.
Oh, dear God, have mercy.
The only reason why we don't bring Chandra on here is because we wouldn't get to say anything if she was on here.
Truth.
But we were supposed to go to my grandma's house for Thanksgiving with my aunt. What's that?
She said, because you're both wrong, and I corrected her because she was wrong. It's your with an apostrophe.
And so if I remember right, we were supposed to go to my aunt's house with my grandma for Thanksgiving that next day, and this, I want to say a snowstorm or something blew in. Anyway, we ended up having Thanksgiving dinner. It was either a day or two after Thanksgiving that year as well. But when we got into our teenage years, I don't know why they did this, but in the state of Illinois, the Assemblies of God, they always had youth convention over Thanksgiving weekend. And so as we got into our teenage years, we were in a church that had a really big youth group. And so Thanksgiving always became synonymous with youth convention. And so we would get done eating, and that was like the only time Chandra would help clean up, because we couldn't leave to head over to the church to get ready to go to youth convention until everything was cleaned up. And so, everybody was like glad for youth convention, because now all of a sudden
Chandra's finally going to help.
Yeah, it's like, where'd this person come through? Why Chandra got all this energy? I know why, because she ain't cleaned up for the last 6 years. So she's got all this cleaning energy saved up. So, but so we would the church bus would leave on Thanksgiving Day, and we would go and spend an extra night up there in the hotel. But so there's just different things that you think of, and I know you guys have your traditions, and stuff. And I wish we could have all of you guys on here at different times so you could just kind of tell stories, because I know a lot of you that come on here. Some of you I don't. Marcy says I did dishes for 3 hours one time. Now, does anybody on? Yeah, not at our house. Maybe at Hovey's when you first started working there before you got a job as a cook. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows at this point? Just keep making the bread pudding and we'll believe whatever you say. How's that? And
He's not lying. That bread pudding was good.
But seriously, I would love to. We should seriously like plan like a month or whatever where we bring people on the program that watch all the time for like 10, 15 minutes at a time, and just let them talk and not necessarily let them speak their mind. We'll boot you off in a heartbeat if you say anything negative about us.
It's not hard for me to do. I'm in control.
But we need to set something. Maybe like the end of the year episode or something like that. Give everybody, we'll give you an opportunity to hop on here, just because there's people that are on here that are always on here. I don't even know what you look like Sandra Isaacs. I have no clue who you are, but you're on here every week. Every week you hop on, Sandra Isaacs, and that's why I'm saying your name right now, because you're always on here. Like this Wendy Richardson person.
I don't know who she is, but she's on here often.
She's always getting on here. Don't have a clue who she is. And Paternaga?
Is there a Paternaga?
Whoever Bethany is, But anyway, you guys are awesome, man. You've been great tonight. You've listened to us just really kind of ramble on. But we wanted tonight to just kind of talk about Thanksgiving, ask you guys some questions to see what you call and what you like to do, what you like to eat, some of your family traditions at Thanksgiving. I think probably the worst Thanksgiving tradition out there kind of affects your family too a little bit, and that's that the Detroit Lions play every year on Thanksgiving. And Jane happens to be a Detroit Lions fan. But football
normally it's not a bad tradition, because like if Green Bay plays them, Green Bay wins.
Yeah, exactly. But football was always a huge part of our life growing up. It started off, we would go out while Mom and everybody with Chandra would cook in the kitchen. Well, yes. Doris, pretty much Mom and Wendy cooked the whole meal.
Marcy cleaned it all up.
Marcy did all the cleaning, and Chandra and Doris just kind of hung out.
Chandra hung out, and Doris wrote the really dark poetry.
Yeah, Doris was just a dark person in general back then. But us boys, me, Dad, Josh, John, and Jason would go out in the front yard and play football. Every Thanksgiving, if it was snowed, it didn't matter. We just go out in the yard and play football. Well, man, after the years, this football game began to grow and grow and grow.
There was nothing better, though. I mean, Nelson played pretty good.
Yeah.
Roger played pretty good. Tim played pretty good. There was nothing better than watching Bill Sharp do sports, though.
Well, it's because you had somebody that wasn't athletic trying to do sports. But the football game Thanksgiving Day grew to the point where we all had to get flags like we do for flag football.
Yes.
And like the last 4 or 5 years we did it, we were literally, this is after we moved to Georgia, we would literally have to go down to the high school football field and would have 25, 30 people all coming out, man. And literally the last year we did it, it was all these people out there playing, me, Josh, John, Jake. John was always probably the worst athlete out of the 4 of us boys.
Jason was far superior with athleticism.
Oh yeah. Jake, well, when it came to John.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm talking. Between Jake and John,
right,
hands down, Jake was the far superior athlete, better body too.
Oh, absolutely. And so we're sitting here and we're like, you know what? What started out as just the 5 of us in the front yard and floor has grown into this huge thing where we pulled out. We're like, it wasn't even fun anymore. We started going deer hunting on Thanksgiving morning.
Yep.
And people were still gathering and doing the big football game, calling us up. Well, can we borrow the flags and the cones and all this stuff? And so that was just another, We were saying that because we knew John was online.
Show quiet, Jake. Done with the fake news.
Oh, man. But anyway, man.
My God.
You guys are awesome, every one of you. I know it's time to get off here now, Josh. And look, next week, I look forward to getting on here because this is what I want you guys to do, all right? I want you to pay close attention on Thanksgiving. I want to hear about the meltdowns that take place in your house Thanksgiving dinner, man. And come back and you can talk about I want to hear your comments. You can talk about the good stuff and everything that happened, but I want to hear about the meltdowns that took place.
Show choir Jake is a better boxer.
But I want to hear about the meltdowns that happened, the accidents, who spilled what, and all that stuff. Next Monday night after Thanksgiving, I'll be here, won't I?
I don't know.
Yeah. I'll be here. It's the following Monday after that. I'll be in Africa.
It's your house, dude.
No, what I'm talking about is me and Charles leave for Africa that next.
Yep.
Matter of fact, a week from Thanksgiving is when we leave for Africa again. But definitely, man, I want to hear what went down on Thursday. So, matter of fact, tomorrow while you guys are eating and something goes down, I believe God's gonna bring to your memory, man. I got to put this on BNC next week.
Man,
all
if
right?
you have to, just text it to yourself.
And Joe, if Joe Paternoga's still watching, not sure if you are or not, but if you are, or if somebody is, get this message to Joe. Joe, please, on Thanksgiving Day, get us a picture of what a gluten-free Thanksgiving dinner looks like. If you could do that.
Oh yes, I can't even fathom a gluten-free dinner.
It's like a cornmeal pie crust or something like that. I don't know. But Joe, get us a picture. We want to know what it looks like because, Bethany's this home interior decorator.
What's the other thing? It's gluten-free and what? Sugar-free?
No, dairy.
Oh,
dairy.
yeah, no dairy, no gluten.
But Bethany kind of presents herself as like this mystic out there and stuff.
I may not be able to eat gluten, James, or dairy, but I know the Holy Spirit.
There you go. So, Joe, if you're watching this, and if you're not, I'm going to tell you to go back and watch it. I want to see how she decorates her house and what a gluten-free Thanksgiving dinner looks like. And if you're watching, I know Wendy's watching. Maybe I need to call Lauren. I want to know what Wendy's house looks like as well, because I want to know if she's got a turkey or if she's got chicken for Thanksgiving this year.
And there is going to definitely be a meltdown at Wendy's house.
Oh yeah, that's guaranteed. That's guaranteed. I think Bonnie's going to what do you call that place? Mel's?
Yeah, she's going. I think Bonnie's going to Mel's. Bonnie doesn't cook.
No, Bonnie's always hoping that the church has their Thanksgiving dinner on Thanksgiving Day, so she's got somewhere to go.
And we don't. Every year, I got to hear about it. Pastor.
Bonnie reminds me of I told her this so I can say it. She reminds me of the sisters on The Simpsons. Marge's sister. Pastor, let me ask you a question. Can we have Thanksgiving dinner on Thursday instead of Sunday? Why do we call it Thanksgiving? Anyway. We love you guys. That's it for tonight, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, we need to get off of here, dude.
I know we're going to get jumped when we go in the other room.
I would say the only problem is this. We're going to get jumped when we get in the other room. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. It's going to happen.
So anyway, we love you guys. Find out who melts down, what happened. We want to hear your stories next Monday night. Brothers in Christ, saying so long to you from Studio 7 here in Atlanta.
My God, Studio 7 here in Atlanta.